Welcome back to the Fishing Daily Podcast with me, Oliver McBride. Today I'm joined by Paraig O'Sullivan from Ballydavid, west of Donegal in County Kerry, and by Robert Kearney, a inshore fisherman from Lenan and County Donegal. Welcome, both.
Thank you.
Paraig, could you tell us a little bit about yourself and where you're from?
Well, we're in a little village west of Donegal there called Ballydavid. And they used to do a lot of salmon fishing in the 70s. And I was young at the time, so I kind of fell into that, there was a lot of boats coming in and out, and the fishing was good. And I continued on fishing, and I got my own boat and stuff, and fishing salmon up until they closed. And it was a big loss to the area, it put a lot of small fishermen out of business. There was a kind of season for salmon, and then the salmon would finish and they take a break for maybe a week or something during the summer, the late summer, and then they go into crayfish fishing, and then we used to go mackerel fishing, and then a bit of pollock fishing. So it was all bits of fishing, and nothing was under pressure, so then the main fishing was taken out with the salmon fishing, so that was the big bite, so it upset everything, and a lot of fishermen just threw in the towel, because it wasn't worth it, and the village kind of died, the boats went out of it, and it was a Gaeltacht village as well, it was all Irish. Even 2 o'clock in the morning over the VHFs, there was all Irish and speaking Irish and everything, and that kind of died with it as well, because some of the young fellas were old enough when just a few years before the salmon fishing finished, and they kind of was around it, and some of them continued on fishing from that, but not much of them, so there's one boat left of the old boats, and he's only kind of part-time there, and it's kind of fishing village is kind of dead now at the minute,
And Robert, welcome back again. I was chatting to you, was it July 2021? In your own fishing village or fishing area. Robert, tell us a little bit about yourself, because anybody who wouldn't know that. Lenan's inshore, North Donegal.
Aye, just North Donegal there, mouth of the Loch Swally there. So we're kind of designated from the towns and whatnot. So there's not a lot. No, there's not a lot. Anybody that wants to live about here, I suppose, you're not spoiled for choice, So we all decided we're all reared here beside the piers in here, and we're all brought up with the fishing. So we decided to stick at it, And we're at it. We're all at it since we're, say, 11 or 12. We started doing, as Paraig says, doing a bit of salmon fishing in the summertime, and a bit of spurdogs, and then we'll get an odd day in the crab boats, and we're all brought up with through the generations. But what I've seen with the last 10, 12 years, since the spurdogs and the salmon now, we've always seen stuff being taken away, but there's never nothing replaced. There's never a replacement for it, So it's just getting to the stage, that we're targeting the one species and stuff like that there. And now the only thing I will say about that is we've adapted to that we've the regulation for landing crab legally was 130, it went up to 135. We're landing crab 148, 150 mil. We don't land anything below that. In the last 4 or 5 years, we took that upon ourselves, and we've seen this year very good returns on the crab fishery, But what we're going to talk about in a wee while, we'll be able to show how that could help the crab stocks as well, and plus make it more attractive to take young people back into the job again,
We're here for a purpose, and our purpose is we're going to talk about the spurdog quota. There's 17,353 tons of it being allocated for 2023 and 2024, and this is a very, very important fishery for a lot of people. And as you mentioned yourself, it could be a good advantage for the industry, especially inshore fishermen like yourself.
I agree. Like I think it'll bring the fishing communities, the inshore fishing communities back to life. I think it will. It'll be a start anyway. There's other fisheries that we're definitely going to go look. No, we're going to look into maybe getting open. Look, we could mention them like you have the salmon fishery and stuff like that there. But at the minute, would be a great starting point to like this quota is allocated. I think it's going to be more of an advantage if the inshore sector gets it. It's going to be a massive advantage to the inshore fleet. A third of the whitefish boats, Irish fishing boats now have been decommissioned. So when you think about it, the inshore fleet makes up, I think, is it 90% of the fishing fleet. So I think the lake's at 17,000 tonne. If we could get the majority of that there for the inshore boats, I think it would definitely, for the coastal communities, I think it'd be a great advantage, a great asset to the inshore sector, definitely, I think, yeah.
Paraig, and in your part of the Ireland and the southwest, the fishermen down there as well are looking for a good share of the quota.
It was very strong there in the 80s and 90s. Like there was a lot of spurdog fishing, like and I think the track record will prove that. Like, and seemingly Ireland has a very strong record on spurdogs, and we should get a good share of our quota, like because everything else we were going is when we were going looking for, we hadn't the track record. This time we have track record and we have a good cards on our hands, like going to the table now, like, so they should give us a good quota. Like
we do have a good record. I remind back in the 80s when I was a youngster running around here in Downings, we had a massive amount of boats fishing spurdog from here. And the years since that, we've all seen the gradual decline of our ports, and the number of fishing boats decreasing. For the likes of yourself, Paraig, how did fishermen in your area get by since spurdog has been taken off the fishing?
Well, a lot of the small boats just kind of pulled out of it, like, and more of them than just kind of diversified into crab and lobster, which it's kind of the one species all the small boats are targeting, like. So this now would take a lot of the small boats for a certain time of the year away from crab and lobster, which would be a great thing altogether. Like, it take the pressure off the stocks, like, and kind of mix it up. Like, that's what I think. Like, it did do a great break for other type of fishing, like, and it extend their season then, like, it extend season for small boats, like, and small boats have a very short season because, as you know, here in northwest or southwest, it's bad weather and you only get so many days a year fishing, like, so it's when the weather comes in, if they're not a crab or lobster, it would extend their season, like, it would be great help.
And Robert, as we talked before at the pier, your boats and your area has become very heavily dependent on one species. And, for yourself and for fishermen along the northwest coast, like, it hasn't been the greatest of times either.
No, it definitely hasn't. It was tough there for a few years. I think the time that the salmon went, like, and the likes of the spurdogs, they handed out potting licenses, so nobody had a choice. Like, anybody that wanted to fish, they handed out free potting licenses, and rightly so at the time, because fishermen had nothing else. And I think everybody then kind of went at the crab, and for a few years there now, the crab was getting abused, being used for whelk bait, been clawing a crab, stuff like that there. But I can see a change now in the crab fishery with the last couple of years. That a lot of fishermen, definitely up in our area here, a lot of fishermen have actually seen the light to a certain extent, that they know that if the crab fishery was abused the way it was going to be abused, that it was going to leave us with absolutely nothing, So, like, I do think if there was other alternative fisheries as well, it would, I think, would encourage fishermen then to maybe grade harder. They can afford to grade harder. They have something else to go to. They can catch a bit of a bycatch a bit when they're fishing for spurdogs. So, like another issue there's like the price of fuel. You know what I mean? You're the price of fuel and the price of bait. So you'd be killing two birds with one stone. Like, you'd be you'd have a good, if you had a good quota for the spurdogs, we could fish them. and then the bycatch of sand dogs and stuff like that there, we can use that for a bit. And you're not buying on bit, packaged, plastic, all the rest. So I think it's a one-one situation, you know, if we can get a decent quota, but it has to be definitely the minister is going to have to definitely give us a fair share of the quota, because, you know, it's all right opening a fishery and then saying, oh, well, you're only allowed this, and then it's not worthwhile. I know the herring's a prime example for that there. There's abundance of herring here locally, like, and the quota the fishermen's getting, like, you know, if they do it like that there, it's not worthwhile. We applied for herring quota last year, and then we were made aware then we're only allowed, I think it was 6 ton or something like that there, and then for us to land the herring, we were going to have to take them to a factory and weigh them, and then take them back in if we wanted to use them for bait or sell them. So it wasn't viable. So it definitely has to be a decent quota, and every boat needs to be allocated a quota that's as the man said, it has to pay, like, you know, it has to be economical, as the man says, you know. So when the quota's coming out now, as I say, we want to be on the ball, because when the quota's being allocated for 23, as you said there, the 17,000 ton, there's no noise being made about it. There's nobody looking for it. I've been emailing the minister's office about it, and there's meant to get details back now. I didn't get no details back from the office. I don't know. I all I said was I told them that we were going to do an interview with yourself, and I said that I'd be looking for information to help out, and I didn't get no information back yet now. So we want to make a bit of noise about it now to make sure that we're heard as an inshore group. Like I've been talking to all the local fishermen here, maybe 50, 60 boats here. I've been in contact with them with the last. You're going around to Malin Head, Bonagee, Clodagh, Lenan, Fanad, the Swally, Greencastle. I've been talking to them all, and they're all in the same. I think they're all in the same hymn sheet. You know, they just want to make sure that the inshore boats get a fair share of this quota that's been allocated, and that's all we want. Just a fair slice of the cake, you know.
Are you afraid that when the minister goes to the AGRIFISH Council in Brussels at the weekend, are you afraid that the spurdog question will get buried amongst the mackerel and the blue whiting arguments?
Yeah, I think I look, that's a bit of a fear. Like, as I say, we don't want to turn around and say that now. We want to have a wee bit of confidence, but in our experience of confidence, and anybody going to Brussels, it's never been good for the inshore. We have no good news with 15 years. Now I hope he does now. I hope he definitely does go out, and I'm hoping that he definitely does go out, and he voices the inshore voice very well, and he comes back. If he doesn't do that, then I'll be very disappointed. He's a local man here, and Kearney. He's not far from us here ourselves, and there's a massive fishing community from here to Greencastle, Malhead, and all that there. And as the man says, you know, we always bump into him and all the rest. So I hope he has something done up now. I was in contact with the office. I've asked for information to see what is he going to propose when he goes there. As of yet, I've got no information back, and that's why I think it's very important that we appreciate what you're doing, Oliver, for doing this, and so we can highlight that, you know what I mean, or as you said there, our worries that if he does go out there and then he comes back, it's too late, and then there's another year gone. And you know, as you said there, we want to just make sure that he knows that the inshore group are fighting hard for this, and we want this, you know.
Thanks, Robert. And in Paraig, in the southwest, does the fishermen feel the same way, that the whole spurdog issue could get buried and the bigger arguments?
Yeah, some of them do. Yeah, they think that the big deals done over their head, like with bigger things, like, and a few of them mentioned that as well, like that it won't benefit the small boats, like that's they're talking about as well here. The same as Robert said, it's the same thing here, like, and the same little villages around the place, like they were all depending on the spur dogs as well. Like it's the same kind of coast in Donegal as in Kerry, like, and Galway and the whole lot. Like there's same little remote areas like that they were fishing those dogs, like, you know.
And I just want to come on there on that one, Oliver. We was it last year? The minister actually came to Lenan Pier. Him and his colleague, who was Darren, you call him. They came to the pier, and that was about spur dogs. We got him down to the pier. and at that time now, the minister did promise that he would do what he can to help them to do what he can. If there did come quota allocated, that he was going to do what he could for the inshore men. He was on Lenan Pier. There was 20 of us there that day, and he came and he did tell us. So I'm hoping that he has a plan drawn up, and for the inshore. The first things first is to get the quota, get a certain amount of quota, a majority of the quota for the inshore boats, and if he can do that there, then if he needs any help on doing up framework or doing up a thing for the fishery, then we'd be happy to help out and work it out with them. So I'm hoping he does. He did come, he met with us, and he did promise me, but I haven't heard a bleep about it since the last time he was there, and that's the worrying. That was the worrying thing about it, and you hit the nail on the head there. That is the worrying thing about going out to Brussels and not highlighting this for the inshore men, because this is actually very very valuable to the inshore sector. So yeah, I hope so.
The excuse probably at the moment will be the fact that the EU and UK fishery negotiations are still ongoing and there hasn't been an arrangement made there. So they'll be saying, well, we don't exactly know how we'll be splitting this up between ourselves and the UK. Paraig, do you think that maybe the minister really needs to take control of the situation and say, like, our inshore boats needs this?
Definitely, yeah, definitely. I think there is no excuses this time, like, because we have track record. Like, before we were going and saying, they were saying that we hadn't track record. This time, the 80s and 90s, we have a good track record of spurdogs. So we should get our own share of the quota. We're going to the table now with good cards in our hands. So we should be able to get what we're owed, like.
This is a very interesting question that was brought up the past few days, is the fact that the minister is going to look for bluefin tuna quota. They're catching a lot of bluefin tuna off the coast and the northwest coast. I'm sure they're probably doing the same then the southwest coast, Paraig.
Sorry, there were strong reports of tuna, and not as much this year now, but I think last year there was a lot of sightings of bluefin tuna on the southwest coast, like. And
it could become a very profitable fisheries for boats. But for yourselves, where would you stand on it?
I think we should get a quota, like, because I think there was a long line fishery for bluefin tuna going back years, like that. There was a Castletown Bear or a few boats at them for long lining for bluefin, and I think definitely there should be a quota for bluefin.
Yeah, I think so too, and it's not even the fact that it mightn't suit me. It mightn't suit a lad in Greencastle. It might suit Paraig, but the good thing about another fishery is you're back to the stocks again. So it's like the mackerel, like, the mackerel quota there. Some of the inshore boats go to them, go and get a mackerel quota. They apply for it. We didn't fish mackerel this year, but the quota was there for some of the inshore boats. It didn't suit us because the mackerel doesn't come into the Swally to August, and then the other lads will be getting them down further south, right? But the good thing about that was, even though we didn't get fishing them, like, there's a certain amount of boats that have to leave the crab gear sitting there and go and fish, diversify the mackerel. And stayed away there, you're giving the crab a rest. Stayed away. No, that's one stock that's getting the rest when you go to another fishery. So, as you said, you have the hook and line with the mackerel, you had the bluefin tuna fishery. It might suit me, it might not. I think further down around Donegal Bay now seems to be a hot spot for them down west of Tory, but it's going to suit a number of boats. And when they're fishing tuna, they're not fishing crab. So it's a 1-1 situation there too. And if there's fish on the ground, there's foreign boats allowed to catch them out off the shelf. The fish they're fattening up in Irish waters, and then they're going out, and the Japanese fleet's taking them ashore, and they're getting top dollar obviously for them. And like we see them now, we would spot them now. We didn't, as Paraig said, that we never spotted as many bluefin tuna this year out northwest of Malhead. So I think it's because, as I said, the weather was very bad this October, very bad October, and that's the time we would see them up here. But as I say, I could apply for quota, and then I could go to them. I mightn't apply for the quota; it mightn't suit me. But there's somebody further west, and like the crabs doing a circle, you hear these crab being tagged. I think there was one recently tagged up in Northern Ireland, and he was caught down in I think the east coast, like, you know, down around Hofen, as far as I know, right. So the crab's moving around. So if there's 50 boats that apply for bluefin quota and they get it, well, they're not fishing crab here, and that's the big push we have as well with the spurdogs. I think that's one of the most, like, the spurdog is no predator, you know, and the spurdog's main diet, as you know yourself, it's juvenile fish, juvenile shellfish, you know, and definitely the more fisheries, and geez, it'd be great if he did go. I don't know if the minister did go out and he did ask for bluefin tuna quota and maybe a bit more mackerel quota for inshore boats. So I definitely think a wee bit more would do no harm. And the spurdogs, as long as the spurdogs isn't left under the table, I think there's not enough of a push on. No, not enough talk about the spurdogs, but we've been pushing it. We've been talking about it. I think we the minister now 2 or 3 times come to us and releasing about the same thing. So, you know, I agree. Yeah, bluefin tuna quota is definitely an advantage all around. Yeah,
it seems to be the message that we're taking away from this here is the more diversification that the smaller boats have, the better it is for all fish stocks, rather than hammering one fish stock in order to save other fish stocks. You know, you're taking what you're saving in one, you're taking away from in the other. Is that right, Patrick?
That's correct. Yeah. You're the more fishing that's there and changing of fishing, it helps. It all helps. Like and it would, I think, it would get more young fishermen interested as well in the fishing if there was the season be longer. Like, you know, that they wouldn't. If you could get the 9 months of the year fishing, like, you would be able to keep young fishermen, like. And another thing about the sport dogs, the seals don't go near them, like. So then the seals is not a problem with them because the seals don't eat them, like. So that would be another great thing, like, you know, you have your pollock and you have your cod and everything, and the seals are eating them, and your hake and everything, but seemingly the seals don't go near the sport dogs. I think that they're too tough for them or something. I don't really know, like, but they seem like they don't like them anyway. So
yeah, it'd be a great to see, like, our fisheries minister going out there and talking to, like, the European Commission and stuff like that there, and being able to explain to him what diversification means and how important it is. But it's all in the mix now. We're all waiting now to see what the council talks will give us now on probably be Tuesday night before we know what's happening.
Oh well, look, as I say, like even Paraig was saying there, it's making the job more attractive to get more people into the job. Like, there's a good future there. Like, even the way the crab fishery came on, even this year, I think, like, up around the north coast and even down Mimeo, the crab fishery was fairly good. I think everybody's wised up to the, as I call it, the abuse of the crab, you know, to a certain extent, that there was, you know, but everybody steadied up. The grading system's good, the market's good, but that wee bit of extra help now by diversifying to different fisheries, like the crab fishery is going to be booming, and that's a 1-1 situation. You've all these young people going to Australia, Perth. I've 90% of my mates are going, or they're thinking of going. Only bar the few that's just married, or the few that's involved in a bit of fishing here. They're hulling on, as I say. They're hulling on, but you know, it's they still want steady money. They still want steady money, like at least 9 months of the year. Anyway, I know they want their time up here. Anyway, it's unless you have something in your hand, you know, or something onshore. And another point too with the spur dogs as well is we only have to travel 4 or 5 mile for to drop off the nets with the spur dogs. As the spur dogs this year were coming into places, we were marking them. We couldn't even shoot the tangle nets. We would shoot tangle nets there to catch sand dogs for bait, because the bait was that expensive. So we were shooting nets in places where there was never dogs, and that's going back 40, 50 years ago, when the uncles and the dad and all the wee bits and pieces, you know. But they used to, you know, they used to be able to shoot the nets inside the swally there. You'd never get dogs in there. Dogs would always stay outside, and they would going back. There's a massive area there. There could be 20 miles squared there that you couldn't drop a net. Like, if you dropped a net, the nets would just be in pieces. Them tangle nets, they would just be in pieces. They would just be clattered. So we were shooting them inside the lines where they shouldn't be, and we were tortured with them. So they're on. It's not the fact that we know now anyway that the figures are there. We know that they're back and as thick maybe as they were. Maybe I think they're back nearly before they started to be fished. They have to be thicker on the ground now than they were then. There's a massive abundance of them. So the fish is there, and I think there's no reason why. There's no reason why the inshore men can't get their fair share of them. The quota's allocated, so we'll just have to wait and see, as you say, what happens. But it's not for the want of asking. And I would be in contact with Charlie's office, the minister's office. I'd be in contact with them. As I say, we demanded a couple of meetings. He came to the pier. He told us he was going to help us out, and he told us what he was going to ask for. Whether he goes now and he asks for it, did he forget about us? That could be. You know what I mean? He might have forgot about us. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. So we'll just have to see how it goes.
Well, thank you both for joining me tonight. It's been an interesting chat, and hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll see something on Tuesday or Wednesday next week, and when the results come out from the AGRIFISH Council.
Okay, thank you.